ExamPrep.School. Washington Casualty Insurance Producer Exam. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Business Owner's Policy, Liability. Casualty Insurance Basics. Commercial Automobile Policy. Commercial General Liability. Federal Laws and Regulations. General Insurance Concepts. Other types of casualty insurance. Personal Automobile Policy. Washington Laws, Rules, and Regulations. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. What is the primary purpose of the prohibition in 18 U.S.C. 1033 that bars individuals convicted of felony crimes involving dishonesty or breach of trust from engaging in the business of insurance without state approval? A. To accelerate claim payments by requiring waivers for convicted felons. B. To limit insurers' pricing authority by enforcing commissioner oversight. C. To safeguard the insurance system by barring convicted felons from exploiting it to commit fraud. D. To expand federal involvement in insurers' investment decisions for consumer safety. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that the statute aims to safeguard the integrity of the insurance system by barring individuals convicted of dishonesty or breach of trust felonies from engaging in the business without state approval, thereby preventing fraud. Reason A is not correct. This choice is incorrect because the prohibition focuses on preventing fraud, not accelerating claim payments. Reason B is not correct. This choice is incorrect because the statute does not regulate premium rates. It bars unsuitable individuals from the business. Reason D is not correct. This choice is incorrect because the provision pertains to individuals' eligibility rather than oversight of insurer investments. Question 2. Under 18. U.S.C. Section 1033, which of the following individuals would be classified as a prohibited person for purposes of engaging in the business of insurance without a waiver? A. An individual convicted of felony assault with a firearm. B. An individual convicted of felony embezzlement of insurance premiums. C. An individual convicted of felony drug trafficking. D. An individual convicted of felony involuntary manslaughter. The correct answer is B. The statute bars individuals convicted of any felony involving dishonesty or breach of trust embezzlement of insurance premiums is a classic breach of trust offense unless a waiver is obtained. Reason A is not correct. Assault with a firearm is a violent offense but does not inherently involve dishonesty or breach of trust under the statute's definition. Reason C is not correct. Drug trafficking is a felony but does not involve dishonesty or breach of trust as required by the statute. Reason D is not correct. Involuntary manslaughter is a homicide offense without an element of dishonesty or breach of trust. Question 3. Under R, CW 48.02, which of the following powers is explicitly granted to the Washington Insurance Commissioner? A. Enforce payment of insurance premium taxes. B. Adopt rules to implement insurance laws. C. Prosecute insurance-related criminal offenses. D. Approve insurer dividend distributions. The correct answer is B. The statute empowers the Commissioner to adopt rules necessary to implement and enforce insurance laws. Reason A is not correct. Tax enforcement is managed by the Department of Revenue, not the Insurance Commissioner. Reason C is not correct. Criminal prosecutions are handled by the Attorney General, not the Commissioner. Reason D is not correct. Dividend approvals are governed by insurer solvency standards, not direct Commissioner authority. Question 4. According to Washington law, how often must the insurance commissioner examine domestic insurers at minimum? A. Examine domestic insurers annually. B. Examine domestic insurers every 3 years. C. Examine domestic insurers at least every 5 years. D. Examine domestic insurers every 10 years. The correct answer is C. RCW 48.02 requires the commissioner to examine each domestic insurer at least once every 5 years. Reason A is not correct. Annual examinations exceed the minimum frequency specified in the statute. Reason B is not correct. 3-year intervals are more frequent than the statutory minimum requirement. Reason D is not correct. 10-year examinations are too infrequent compared to the mandated 5-year interval. Question 5. Under Washington insurance regulations, the insurance commissioner may issue a cease and desist order to which of the following? A. A policyholder canceling during the free look period. B. A licensed producer offering statutory rebates. C. An insurer processing claims within policy terms. D. An unauthorized person soliciting insurance without a license. The correct answer is D. The commissioner can order unauthorized persons to cease unlicensed insurance solicitation under the insurance code. Reason A is not correct. Policyholder cancellations during free look periods are lawful. Reason B is not correct. Statutory rebates are permitted practices for licensed producers. Reason C is not correct. Processing claims as per policy terms is allowed insurer activity. Question 6. Which of the following best defines insurance as stated in RCW 48.0143? A. A guaranteed return on investment for policyholders. B. A mechanism for transferring risk via premium payment. C. A contract to indemnify against a specified contingency. D. An agreement to protect property without loss exposure. The correct answer is C. RCW 48.01. DAS Rule 40 defines insurance as a contract to indemnify against loss arising from a specified contingency. Reason A is not correct. Policies do not guarantee investment returns. Reason B is not correct. Insurance involves indemnity obligations, not merely risk transfer mechanisms. Reason D is not correct. Protection is subject to loss exposure and indemnity, not absolute safeguarding. Question 7. Under the Washington Insurance Code, which description best defines an insurer? A. A third-party administrator handling claims only. B. An agent acting on behalf of policyholders. C. A consultant providing risk management advice. D. A person licensed to transact insurance business under the code. The correct answer is D. The code defines an insurer as any person licensed to transact insurance business under its provisions. Reason A is not correct. Administrators process claims but do not underwrite insurance. Reason B is not correct. Agents are intermediaries, not insurers under the code. Reason C is not correct. Consultants provide advisory services, not insurance contracts. Question 8. Maria, a Washington licensed insurance producer, explains coverage options to a new client, accepts premium payments, administers claims on behalf of her insurer, and offers financial planning advice unrelated to insurance. Under RCW 48.01, which of these actions would not be considered an insurance transaction? A. Explains coverage options to a prospective client. B. Accepts premium payments for an insurance policy. C. Administers claim settlements on behalf of her insurer. D. Offers financial planning advice unrelated to insurance. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that offering financial planning advice unrelated to insurance does not involve solicitation, negotiation, effectuation, or matters incidental to insurance, whereas the other activities constitute insurance transactions under RCW 48.01.60. Reason A is not correct. Explaining coverage options is considered solicitation, which RCW 48.01.060 defines as part of an insurance transaction. Reason B is not correct. Accepting premium payments is part of effectuation of an insurance contract and therefore an insurance transaction. Reason C is not correct. Administering claims is a matter incidental to insurance and thus falls within the statutory definition of an insurance transaction. Question 9. Under Washington state law, RCW 48.17, who is required to hold a resident producer license to sell casualty insurance? A Washington resident individual negotiating and selling casualty insurance policies for compensation. B. A non-resident individual appointed by a Washington insurer to sell casualty insurance in the state. C. An insurance company employee who only provides general marketing materials for casualty products. D. A licensed public adjuster handling claims for casualty insurance losses. The correct answer is A. The law defines any resident individual who negotiates, sells, or solicits casualty insurance for compensation as a producer, requiring a resident producer license. Reason B is not correct. Non-resident individuals must hold a non-resident producer license rather than a resident license. Reason C is not correct. Those merely distributing marketing materials without negotiating or selling are exempt from licensing. Reason D is not correct. Handling claims falls under adjuster licensing, not producer licensing. Question 10. Which of the following is an eligibility requirement for obtaining an initial Washington resident producer license? A. Being at least 18 years old. B. Completing 40 hours of prelicensing coursework approved by the commissioner. C. Possessing an active non-resident producer license from another state. D. Establishing a Washington trust account for premium funds. The correct answer is A. To qualify for an initial resident producer license in Washington, an applicant must be at least 18 years of age, among other requirements such as passing the licensing exam. Reason B is not correct. Washington does not mandate prelicensing education hours as a statutory eligibility requirement. Reason C is not correct. A non-resident license from another state does not substitute for initial resident licensing requirements. Reason D is not correct. No trust account requirement exists for initial resident producer licensing in Washington. Question 11. Under RCW 48.17, 80, for what maximum period may a temporary Washington producer license be issued? A. 90 days. B. 120 days. C. 180 days. D. 365 days. The correct answer is C. Washington law permits issuance of a temporary producer license for up to 180 days to allow business continuity when a licensed producer is incapacitated or deceased. Reason A is not correct. 90 days understates the statutory maximum period for temporary licensing. Reason B is not correct. 120 days understates the allowable duration prescribed by statute. Reason D is not correct. 365 days exceeds the 180-day statutory limit for a temporary license. Question 12. Which action must a non-resident individual take to qualify for a Washington non-resident producer license under RCW 48.17? A. Obtain a Washington state resident endorsement. B. Hold a valid in-good standing producer license in the home state. C. Pass the Washington Casualty Insurance Licensing Examination. D. Establish a physical office in Washington. The correct answer is B. Washington grants non-resident producer licenses by reciprocity to individuals who hold a valid and in good standing license in their home state meeting requirements equivalent to those in Washington. Reason A is not correct. No resident endorsement is required. Non-residents use a non-resident license. Reason C is not correct. Non-residents qualify by reciprocity and are not required to retake the Washington exam. Reason D is not correct. Physical office establishment in Washington is not a statutory requirement for non-resident licensing. Question 13. Under Washington's insurance statutes, which of the following individuals is exempt from holding a producer license when performing insurance activities? A. An attorney at law advising clients on casualty policy selection incidental to legal practice. B. A mail-order agent soliciting casualty insurance policies from Washington residents. C. A public adjuster negotiating settlements for casualty insurance claims. D. An independent contractor advertising casualty products online. The correct answer is A. Attorneys advising on insurance matters incidental to the practice of law are exempt from producer licensing under Washington statutes. Reason B is not correct. Mail order solicitation of policies requires a producer license under Washington law. Reason C is not correct. Public adjusters need an adjuster license, not a producer license, but are not exempt from licensing. Reason D is not correct. Independent contractors advertising insurance products must hold a producer license. Question 14. A Washington insurer enters into an agreement with a newly licensed out-of-state producer to sell personal casualty policies in Washington. Under Washington law, what action must the insurer take to properly appoint this producer? A. File notice of appointment with the Office of the Insurance Commissioner within 15 days of the producer agreement. B. Verify that the producer has paid the individual licensing fee before appointment. C. Submit notice of appointment within 30 days after the date the producer's license is issued. D. No appointment filing is required once the producer holds a Washington license. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because Washington requires insurers to notify the insurance commissioner of any producer appointment within 15 days of the agreement's effective date. Reason B is not correct. Insurer notification requirements are independent of the producer's license fee payment. Reason C is not correct. The time frame is incorrect. The law specifies a 15-day period, not 30 days. Reason D is not correct. Appointment filing is required even if the producer is already licensed. Question 15. Under Washington law, how frequently must a producer's license be renewed, and by what date must the renewal application be filed? A. Annually by December 31st. B. Biannually by June 30th of the renewal year. C. Every 3 years by the anniversary date of original issuance. D. Every 2 years by the last day of the licensee's birth month. The correct answer is D. Producers in Washington renew their licenses every 2 years with the renewal application due by the last day of the licensee's birth month under SCW 48.17. 100. Reason A is not correct. Washington licenses renew every 2 years, not annually. Reason B is not correct. Due dates are tied to the licensee's birth month, not a fixed June 30th deadline. Reason C is not correct. Renewals occur every 2 years, not 3, and are due by birth month, not issuance anniversary. Question 16. How many credit hours of continuing education must a Washington insurance producer complete every renewal cycle? A. 24 credit hours. B. 12 credit hours. C. 30 credit hours. D. 36 credit hours. The correct answer is A. Washington requires producers to complete 24 hours of continuing education every 2-year renewal cycle as specified in WAC 284-17-230. Reason B is not correct. 12 hours is half the required amount and below the statutory minimum. Reason C is not correct. 30 hours exceeds the 24-hour requirement set by regulation. Reason D is not correct. 36 hours greatly exceeds the 2-year CE requirement in Washington. Question 17. Under Washington continuing education rules, how many of the required hours must specifically cover ethics topics? A. 2 hours. B. 4 hours. C. 3 hours. D. 6 hours. The correct answer is C. Washington mandates that at least 3 of the 24 required CE hours focus on ethics. Per WAC 284-17-230. Reason A is not correct. 2 hours is below the minimum ethics CE requirement. Reason B is not correct. 4 hours exceeds the mandatory ethics component of 3 hours. Reason D is not correct. 6 hours is double the required ethics CE allotment. Question 18. Under Washington law, what occurs if a producer fails to complete the required continuing education by the renewal deadline? A. Renewal is denied and the license is suspended until CE completion. B. License remains active and CE hours carry forward to the next cycle. C. An automatic 30-day extension is granted without penalty. D. A $50 per missing credit penalty may substitute for the hours. The correct answer is A. If CE is not completed by the deadline, the renewal is denied and the producer's license is suspended until all required CE is finished, per WAC 284-17-230. Reason B is not correct. CE hours do not carry forward and the license is not kept active. Reason C is not correct. No automatic extension is provided. Deadlines are firm. Reason D is not correct. Penalties do not replace required hours. The CE must be completed. Question 19. Under Washington regulations, if a producer's license has been expired for less than 1 year, what is required for reinstatement? A. Retake all licensing exams and complete a new background check. B. Submit a renewal application with proof of CE and pay a late fee without re-examination. C. Wait until the next renewal period and reapply as a new applicant. D. Submit an affidavit of work history and complete half the required CE. The correct answer is B. For lapse under 1 year, a producer may reinstate by submitting renewal forms with completed CE proof and paying the late fee no re-exam is required, per WAC 284-17-100. Reason A is not correct. Re-examination is not required for lapses under 1 year. Reason C is not correct. Reinstatement is available within 1 year without new applicant status. Reason D is not correct. Half CE and affidavits are not accepted for reinstatement. Question 20. A Washington licensed insurance producer receives notice that a licensing suspension was imposed in another state. Under Washington regulations, by when must the producer report this administrative action to the Office of the Insurance Commissioner? A. Report within 10 business days after final disposition of the administrative action. B. Report within 30 calendar days after receiving notice of the administrative action. C. Report at the next scheduled license renewal in Washington state regardless of when the action occurred. D. Report within 60 calendar days after the entry of the administrative action in the other jurisdiction. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that producers must report administrative actions from other jurisdictions to the Washington Commissioner within 30 calendar days after receiving notice of the action. Under Washington regulations, producers are required to notify the Commissioner no later than 30 days from the date they have knowledge of any disciplinary action taken against them in another jurisdiction. Reason A is not correct. This distractor uses business days and a shorter time frame of 10 days, but the requirement is for calendar days and a 30-day deadline. Reason C is not correct. This choice ties reporting to license renewal rather than the required 30-day reporting period following notice. Reason D is not correct. This option extends the reporting deadline to 60 days, but Washington law sets a 30-day reporting window. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.